some structure. That's crazy.
All right, let's talk about.
I have topics.
Okay. Well, if you want to talk about like we can talk about like how they sort of like schedule Skybunker podcast episode 15. We can talk about how they sort of like engineer pop tracks. I actually know a good amount about it because I friends who do that for a living.
My friend said that.
Like just pop music tracks or like rap music.
Sorry, couple things.
Some music if you want. I have friends who are full-time producers. I know how it works.
Okay, if we're managing this conversation, one conversation at a time.
You guys can talk. Yeah, if you guys can talk over there, you're on camera right now, or join our conversation.
I'm managing this now from now on, honestly. So it's like
let's think about this as like an improv. One person says something, and you kind of build off of it.
Yeah.
You don't try to correct or whatever. Not to say that anyone's doing that, by the way. So one says, and then you provide your input. You go on for a few seconds, and then it's open-ended so that someone else can comment on it, and then they add their perspective on it, right? So we're kind of just not really getting to the bottom of anything. We're just allowing for us to speak how we feel on topics, but also supporting other people to talk about their ideas, right? Like an improv.
Have you seen our podcast?
That's exactly what it is.
Have you seen our podcast before?
That's exactly but that's she's
that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you're explaining this, I'm like, yeah, that's what we do every week. Yeah,
Obviously, my job as a host is essentially just like navigate. Could you please turn that off, by the way? Thank you. Okay, so let's start off. No one here actually watches like racing at all.
I've
right?
never actually been on a podcast. Do I have to speak louder?
No,
than
just be you. You are literally a podcast host and your fucking personality yourself.
Yeah, the fact I see you on your Instagram just like talking into your camera, if you know how to do that skill, you can be on the podcast.
Yeah.
If you know how to talk into a camera, like clearly you're fine.
Okay, so obviously, so Hunger Games prequel is coming
I don't
out.
watch any of that shit. Come on. I don't know knowledge about this stuff.
Okay. Let's stay on like the whole like rap music topic until we run into steam on that, and we'll jump into some more topics here because we're talking about that. Yeah. So like when it comes to like these songs, it's like there is an industry of producers that just focus on making hits. That's like legit their job. No, it's already on. Yeah. Like this is a very informal podcast because we don't do like cuts and
let me start like this. So the same way people create SEO optimized blogs, I agree, people make SEO optimized songs. And I think that's literally what a lot of like record labels and distributors really focused on per se. My thing though is that I actually don't listen to a lot of like over marketable music, and it's because I actually uniquely come from like a very dark background. So sometimes I feel like that's why I coordinate well with certain music, and I understand why people can't resonate with it. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. There's obviously, if you have a dark background and you want to find it's the familiarity. It's something that you're familiar with. It's a place where you can feel supported, have a sense of community, to identify, because that's your identity, right?
Yeah.
That's the identity you have built for yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's what you've experienced, and because of the environment you've been in, this is the identity that you've built for yourself.
Yeah.
But there are multiple, you can choose your identity.
Yeah.
You can choose your identity by monitoring the value and the meaning that you assign to certain concepts.
Yeah.
So you could be in a situation can happen, and you may be used to reacting a certain way because you believe a certain thing.
Yeah.
But if you kind of are cognizant of the way that you're analyzing your beliefs about a certain situation, you may decide that, I actually want to change the way I react to this. And explore something kind of differently, because oftentimes, because of our environment, we can't change our environment.
So
it just is the way it is. And I'm going to finish this off by saying we can't change the environment, but we can change how we react to the environment and where we focus our attention. Even though these multiple situations could be happening at one time, if we can practice observing, analyzing, and organizing our thoughts in a way that gets us results, that could be beneficial. And that's all I wanted to say about that.
No, and I totally agree with you. I think the only thing I would finish with is like the primary reason why like those artists, and I feel like I probably didn't like create the best song, is like my story is one of essentially a rose growing.
What, the Chief Keef or the Chief?
No,
G?
not Chief Keef. Chief Keef is the opposite of actually
Chief
what I'm talking
G,
about.
right?
Chef G. Chef
What's
G.
the song we're talking about?
Well, there was
Chef G, right?
Chef G.
Oh my God.
I love Chef G. Yo, but so here's my thing. My story basically is like a rose growing from the concrete, right?
Okay.
And I think the whole idea of what they're trying to say is like you got to find an opportunity, regardless of the background you come from, and they sort of speak that through the songs. The reason why I resonate it is like I found my way doing that. It wasn't through rapping. It wasn't through like, you know, any felonious thing. It was like by like, you know, finding a creative, intelligent, strategic way to be independent and survive myself. That's why I really coordinated with it. And I feel like I would hope more people sort of resonate with that and find a way to get out of really bad scenarios. But I could also understand how people could understand, people could think that it's just a really negative thing. And I also understand what you're trying to say about how some rap definitely keeps people in the same loop. Like for example, like Chief Keef, and I would even say on some level, like Future.
Because it's the same talk track. It's the same talk track that you're telling yourself internally.
So it was, you know what's funny though? Like people like Chief Keef and Future though are actually heavily marketed by UMG. Like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like the big record labels.
Massive investment into the way they're being forecasted to perform the type of results they're.
I do want to say though, it's a bit of a chicken and an egg problem, right? Because what it comes down to is that like it's not like Universal Music went to the hood and they're like, we're looking for a guy like Chief Keef. What happens is that he blew up on YouTube and then they're just like, yo, this is getting a lot of hits. Let's like put more gasoline on the fucking. Like what the labels do is that they're gasoline and then you're the fire, right? So if your bonfire doesn't already have a ton of people hanging out behind it, they're not gonna put gasoline on you because they don't want to explode. But he already had like 2 million hits on his video, and they're just like, okay, so this drill rap thing in Chicago, it's like really raw, and it's happening in a time when like rap music is so corny because like Kanye and everything like that, he's so soft. Dude, we need some hardcore shit right now. And then they put gasoline on the fire, then Chief Keef exploded.
I agree with you.
That's how the labels work.
I agree with you. My issue though is what happens is sometimes I feel like they get too hyper focused on like one trend and they start doing things like industry plans.
Yo, that's a real thing. Industry plans are definitely a real thing.
Industry plans basically it's like when the record label is like, all right, cool. Trap music is doing really well. Now we're gonna put a more marketable like white guy that's doing the same thing. That's so we can sort of drive downwards, right?
Or even another black guy that they can control more.
Exactly, yeah. But that's so they call it industry plants, and basically that's when, in my opinion, shit gets fucked. They drive the sound in the wrong direction. They're not allowed.
It's the music execs that are making the decision. It's not them. It's not the artist. Like if you want to make that type of money, like we were saying, if you want to make that type of money, you're not getting into rap to. You know, as to express yourself. You're doing it because these are the phrases, these are the words that make a shitload of money. Why? Because it's easily digestible. It can go out to a massive amount of group. Rap gives a certain feeling. Like, it's not just about the words that it says. Rap, why it's so successful is because it gets to people's emotions. It makes you feel, right? And often, in my opinion, you know, how can we control people? It's like, we treat them like mushrooms, keep them in the dark and feed them shit, right? The less you give to them, but the more emotionally attached they are to something, the more you can control them because they're dependent on you for a feeling, right?
Do you ever listen to any like positive rap music? I guess it's like all negative.
Absolutely.
Like, listen to J. Cole's not.
We were just talking about
J. Cole's very healing music.
Rapper.
Okay, rap music is fucking hateful.
Healing.
Okay,
oh
like. Yeah.
But and we didn't put a clear upfront contract about this video. We were talking about the difference between the new age rap and specifically guys like J. Cole. Mm-hmm. Who are
he's extremely positive. He's inspirational.
Absolutely,
yeah. He
like the J. Cole's, you know, and who else? And I was actually the question was
like any conscious rapper right now.
Let's talk about who are the other conscious rappers now.
But even Kendrick,
Kendrick, sure, absolutely.
No, but even Kendrick, unfortunately, like Kendrick is not okay.
Because I can name 20 like kind of depressive sounding rappers, and I could maybe name 1 or 2, maybe 3. Inspiring, you know, thought-provoking, uplifting.
Kanye did
in today's day.
What usually sells in general across like all the rap genres is that like the popular tracks, like conscious hip hop has existed since the 90s, right? Like Tupac and everything. Yeah. So like what a lot of club music actually is what's like danceable.
Yeah.
And then the danceable music, like do the Humpty Dump, like that's not like a conscious track. It's just a fun party track. So rap it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't always have to be like conscious. Sometimes people just want to hear like fun music.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're rapping about like ignorant shit. Because when you're in the club, like people like to hear about like drinking and smoking and like people like to hear, you know, and it's obviously entertainment.
But it's
entertainment, right?
But we haven't been able to go to clubs, and rappers still need to make music. So they got to make music for people that are sitting at home alone or in like fucked up situations and feeling justified for being in a fucked up situation.
Yeah, we have that too. Yeah.
That's probably literally Chef G.
There's a really big comeback right now for like backpack music, like Joey Badass and like Smino and like just like.
There's other people that are like yeah. What about like?
There's a comeback to backpack.
Kid Leroy.
Kid Leroy.
That's more like pop rap.
Kid Leroy is an industry plant.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, all Mystery Plant means is that he had a lot of real support.
I like it, but but Kid Laroi also does. Kid Laroi does the depressing shit though. Explicitly.
I guess I haven't heard enough.
And I fuck Kid Laroi, but the thing Kid Laroi's mom was a meth head.
Oh god.
He talks about that a lot. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like he comes from like a really. But I get the whole thing. He's a very young guy.
I haven't heard enough of his.
Oh, I listen to a lot of Kid Laroi. So it's a really he has one song. Actually, I'll tell you one. He has one of the most depressing. I'll play it right now. The most depressing fucking sad boy songs ever.
I actually saw on. It's funny that you mentioned it. There was a rating of the top happiest artists, pop artists, and saddest, and Kid Laroi was in the saddest category.
Listen to this one. Why? Yeah.
He was in the saddest category of music right now.
But there's something wrong with sad music is people need music to sort of like help cope with their emotions when they feel sad. They want to relate to the music.
No,
right?
but
so we need music in every category of human emotion, right? That's the purpose of music. It's not really that sad. It's kind of just melodic rap.
It's Taylor Swift rap.
Yeah, it's not that sad.
No, because he's just talking about, oh, I broke up, I'm so sad. No.
Yeah, it's just like they call it like sad or like clown rap.
Yeah.
But that's what music. It's just supposed to feed all human emotions, right? So if you look at every genre, every genre that's actually well represented.
What's selling the most?
Look at the video.
We're talking the conversation about what is selling the most.
You know what actually sells the most in the U.S.? Country music. Did you know that?
Seriously?
I like country music.
They think in the
Luke Bryan.
US,
I don't even care about country. Since Reba McEntire and Shania Twain, Luke Bryan came out. He's awesome. Play a Luke Bryan song. He's got this new banger.
In America, rap is actually not the number one genre. The number one genre in America is actually country music. Believe it or not.
Did you know I'm the Boots and Hearts black guy?
But there's an evolution of, if you've obviously noticed, of country. What's your opinion on how it's evolved?
Like there's no such thing as a bad genre. There's only good and bad songs in each genre. So there's good songs in country music. There's bad songs in country music. There's good rap. There's good polka. There's bad polka. Every genre of music that has been fully developed has good and bad songs. There's no such thing as a bad genre.
What do you think about Jelly Roll? Anyone know Jelly Roll?
I don't remember Jelly Roll. I don't remember.
Jelly Roll used to be like he's a white guy from Nashville, Tennessee, and then he ended up being in rap. He started off in rap and moved over to country.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, even Post Malone went from country to rap, and Taylor Swift was also in country. She went to pop. Katy Perry is also a country singer. Katy Perry was a Christian country singer.
That's not the fucking guy I'm talking about.
Luke Combs?
Yeah, not Luke Combs, not Luke Bryan.
How did I know that? I have no idea why I knew that.
Yeah.
But overall, like I think the real job of a music artist in general is not to make money or be successful. It's actually just to express your truth. And if other people resonate with that, you can become a thought leader. It's like when Kanye did like All Falls Down and like College Dropout. Like he was a producer for fucking like Jay-Z and like like Senator Rockefeller and shit. But
does anyone know the new Luke's? It's like Can't Stop Loving You or Won't Stop Loving You.
You also don't want to play that on YouTube though, because they'll snip your.
You can play a clip.
I think play up to 10 seconds.
Something like that.
Anyways, he's got a new song out. It's fucking fire.
Yeah,
I cannot write a bad song.
On the topic of country, though, I will say so. I am a Boots and Hearts black guy. Like I'm officially the Boots, and that's the best experience I've ever
What
been
does
at.
that? Wait, what?
I am like marketing team. The marketing team has dictated I am the Boots and Hearts black guy. I shit you not.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What you got?
Vape.
Huh?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Vape
Oh, yeah.
Like, how clean are these things?
It's just wipe it. It's fine. I sanitize them every week.
Yeah.
Okay, well, every week is. Come on.
But no, so I was gonna say though, like,
You need to do a little more than that.
No, but like,
I respect that.
I'll
Sanitizer right there if you want.
all jokes aside,
Go for it.
all jokes aside, the reason why I actually really enjoyed Boots and Hearts was that it's actually the best vibe possible. Everyone there is so happy, and you think everyone's there is gonna like a lot of my friends think I'd go there was gonna be a racist dick, but it's like no, we're just like happy. Yeah.
Who says that?
Oh, like.
I feel like people haven't been everyone coming to the festival. For a lot of people, that's like the best weekend of their entire year.
It's amazing.
So
it's such a good time. It's such a good time, honestly. Everyone's in such a good mood, and everyone's just trying to like chill. Whereas I find the reason why I didn't want to go to what was the one that we had last year that came to Toronto the first time?
Rolling Loud.
Rolling Loud. I don't want to go to Rolling Loud because I think there's gonna be fights. That's why I don't want to go.
Okay, so are we done talking about the rap situation?
We can talk about whatever you want.
tell you.
We can talk about whatever you want. This is an open podcast.
Exactly.
Open format. Is there anything you want to talk
Alright,
about?
so the next,
Anything I wanted to.
You're a guest this week. You can talk about whatever you want.
I mean, I was really just prepared for the rap situation.
We can keep talking about that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then people will say, oh, she's privileged or whatever. It's like,
No, I don't think anyone would say that.
I've never actually heard anyone say that. I only see that narrative circulating.
It's all good, man. Cool, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy how many narratives you hear circulating on like social media that aren't even even happening. It's just that they're saying that these narratives are happening,
Like
but they're
what?
not actually happening.
Like what narratives?
Like a lot of shit.
Like what narratives?
Fuck.
Let's get into this.
Let's go.
Let's get
Okay,
into
what's
this.
what's
Just
a
you.
narrative that is circulating that? Fuck, I just drew a blank. Get back. What's? I'll
Okay,
Because
that's- okay,
when I'm on TikTok, my TikTok algorithm, it feeds me a lot of shit. I get a lot of negative news. I get tech news. I get a lot of housing news. I get.
I think that's-
I get the culture war news.
I got it.
Yeah, go
So the whole, let's use. Sorry to bring up the name.
Keep
but
going. Much better, man.
The whole, let's say Trump, the Trump concept.
Okay.
Like there are some people, and I'm not a Trump fan, by the
Okay,
way.
I don't care.
There are Trump fans that are vehemently against him, and then they're like, they'll watch this shit and just like want to bring him the fuck down, and it's like they spend their whole day about this shit.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm straight up, I'm not a Trump fan, at all. But it's like there are people that are just like obsessed with this shit. But like if you look around, that's an American thing.
It's
like,
not even
it's
here.
not
I
even
know.
here.
Yeah,
like so you're just absorbing American media and you're like transgressing it into life when it wasn't even there.
But I honestly think social media is a mirror, because like I have the best time on social
Yeah.
media.
What do you mean by that? It's a mirror.
I have the best time on social media. Basically, it reflects what you say, bro. Social media reflects exactly what you are, right? So everyone's like, oh, yo, there's always all this bullshit on social media, but it's like that's what you're looking at. For me, I look at like I see like mobility stuff, workout stuff. I see puppies. I see funny memes. You know what I'm trying? That's all I see. Even on TikTok, I just see motivational shit. Honestly, I go on social media. It actually empowers me. That's all. That's because that's all I see. I don't see negative shit. I don't see negative shit.
Bullshit.
What is that?
No, because
Drinking?
I only
You're
like.
telling me you feel
That's soda water.
empowered when you go on social
Can I show you my?
media.
I'll show you.
There's so
Oh,
much
goddamn.
studies and evidence that shows how social media is so toxic.
Check
I'm
out-
not saying blanket statement social media is toxic.
I'd say
but
most of it is.
Look, VO2 max, right? He's talking about VO2 max. That's the
what's
first.
VO2 max? What is VO2
Your
max?
lung capacity. How?
Okay.
He's talking about how to increase your VO2 max, right?
Yeah, like
Okay,
I
you
like
watch
info.
literally 7 seconds
So-
of
so-
it
okay,
and
so- okay,
fly.
no,
You can't even focus on one thing at a time. You gotta like have
I
a
agree.
fucking million things
But
going on
no,
just
but
to like be entertained.
but this is what. No, I'm not saying
That's
that.
why people can't focus and excel because they got fucking million options. going
Sure,
on.
sure, I agree with you too. But I'm trying to say.
I also like mainlining information. It
But
feels
let's
really
let's
good.
go back to the initial
I like mainlining information.
the initial thing we're talking about.
literally
The initial
what it
thing we're
is.
talking about though was like social.
Free-basing information.
Yeah, so
Free-basing
Ah,
information.
that's true, yeah.
Free-basing information, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, and
But
it's
see,
like
AI
it
tools-
just you're like filled with it for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and then you just completely like
But this is good shit.
It's
though.
awesome.
just left like a shitty residual feeling, but you didn't actually like learn anything
Oh no!
from it.
I absorb
Okay,
so much.
all right.
I'm probably losing my gray matter
Well, then
every time I do
you're
it.
well. There's also a thing called too much reading, right?
Yeah.
When you're reading too much
Yeah.
and you're too influenced by the things you're reading, so you're blocking your own inner creativity.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to just kind of like sit with yourself and just write free flowing with yourself.
Yeah.
And get rid of the information so that you can go in and create
Yeah,
something.
Sometimes, yes. Or sometimes you just want to dive into that novel and get
Yeah.
really, really inspired and let
Sure.
let them talk
Absolutely.
for you.
Absolutely.
This is just water. We have water and water and carbonated water here.
So it's good to do both.
I've been reading some. I've been trying to read Hunter S. Thompson recently.
Sorry?
Which one do you want?
Water?
Just not carbonated or
Just sparkling.
Carbonated, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm reading some Hunter S. Thompson recently. I've been trying to let him get inside my head. I've been trying to let that guy program me. I'm trying to learn
What
his
does
style.
he write about?
Hunter S. Thompson, he wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas,
Okay.
the Rum Diary.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to read his. I read Fight Club this week. I actually read the book.
Oh, I
The book,
fucking love
the
the
book
Fight
is
Club.
so similar to the book is so similar to the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's almost like just reading the script of the movie. I was like, holy shit, you
Yeah.
guys didn't change anything.
Yeah.
You know, they rearranged some parts of it to make it make a little bit more sense. But like reading the book is
Yeah,
like.
some books are completely different than the
Yeah,
movie.
and it's terrible.
Fight Club, they said it was one of the few books out there where the book was really good, but then the movie was directed so well that the movie is like an amazing interpretation.
What
of
do
the
you
book as
appreciate
well.
the most about Fight Club?
They say it's like, like women have like the Joy Luck Club and like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and shit, and like guys don't have like a guy cry like, solidarity type book. So what guys have is, well, I feel like we have All Quiet on the Western Front. Guys got that.
What I like the most about what I like the most about
And Fight Club. Yeah.
What I like the most about Fight Club and
But what about that as a choice? Like that's your only choice. It's like we don't have a group, but the group we have is fucking Fight Club.
because Fight Club. If you think about the movie, though, basically it's weird because
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion, the way
Oh,
I look at it too,
Been huffing that all
basically,
week.
is that it's like a reflection, basically almost of like men's mental health too. Is it what would be considered now, right? essentially like living in a corporate world, the way it really bogs down on you, and what's the solution for that, right? And it's almost the solution for that was for them to delve into what would be considered now the negative
Going from
aspects.
0 to 100.
So they become the shadow selves. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a huge delve into that, like your shadow self.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of that? Why is that there? And the whole Tyler Durden thing. It's like, okay, this is somebody I needed to be for something to happen in life. You know, and so it's this question of like, you know, do you want to be this person?
It's both extremes. It's
Exactly.
like going into the shitty perils of corporate life where you just have no creativity, to the other extreme where you're just being completely loose and like trusting in not giving a fuck and going, which is kind of cool, right? Like to find a fine balance between would be probably ideal.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be on the end of like completely, you know, blocked by the corporate mindset, the structures that society has put out for us that are actually not very nice. We don't have to get into that. Versus something that is just like you're just being an animal and going completely into, primal instinct and
You're good on the podcast, Justine. You're good. You're a natural. You're a natural. Most people can't come off here and actually just talk. Like you're good. Like you got it. You got the talent. Yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. So it's just like it's interesting. So it's like it's like everything's a dichotomy. And I hate to say this, but I'm a Pisces, and everything in my life is fucking dichotomy. It's like they're just swimming around. And if you can see both, it's like you can connect them to like superior power. It's insane. So you're never really attached to either one. You're like right in the center. But I feel like life is such a dichotomy. Like this is happening on this opposite end, this is happening. So like where do you want to be right now? And that's a choice. Everything that ever happens to you in life is a decision.
Sometimes.
You can, yes, that's where I said the environment, sometimes you cannot change your environment, but you can change the way you respond to your environment. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes you can't just, if you can't put a name to it, it's hard to learn it. But if you can study it, like if you're curious about something that is troubling you, I suggest you go and study the fuck out of it so that you can understand it better and kind of decompartmentalize blocks that are preventing you from overcoming things. But if we don't have knowledge, that's why education is so important. If the more that we're educated, the more empowered we are to go get answers, to be able to find ways to remove stresses and blocks and worry and doubt and anxiety and uncertainty, and instead fall into confidence, sheer unadulterated confidence, and grounding yourself in your own confidence. And that's by really building yourself up, doing the things that make you feel really good, right? Because our feeling state is literally moving material around us, because our feeling state is producing electronic frequencies. I'm not a fucking scientist, but this is science, and it is affecting the material surrounding, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, the heart and the stomach has more nerve endings than the brain. It's absorbing more information than your fucking brain. So to not find a balance between the brain and the feelings in your body and listening to the feelings that your body is telling you, like you're missing out. So if you can find a way to really trust yourself, how do you trust yourself? By doing things that make yourself feel really good, feel really confident, prosperous, working out, hanging out with your friends and family, going biking, making music, doing recordings, something free-flowing that doesn't put any pressure on you to have an outcome. It's just something that makes you feel really good. In turn, you're building self-esteem so that when you go into life and you face roadblocks or face some type of situation that's difficult, you have really good self-esteem in yourself and you're able to remain calm. You're able to act in a way that is looking for solutions, because you're not being, offended, or other things are not fucking up your energy. Like your energy, I don't like to use the word energy, I like to use electronic frequency, is not being kind of thrown off. You're staying on course of proper feeling state, and that's why I don't like that type of music, because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't encourage feeling really good and abundant. It's putting you in a box. And that's
So my only
all I wanted to say about that.
That's good. That's legit. That's good.
I agree with you too. The only thing that I will say, in the environment that I exist in, I am constantly under attack, so I need something to fucking keep me in the opposite. But I agree with you that there's definitely some aspects of negativity. I'm gonna grab some more drinks.
Yeah.
Is it what I'm
Yeah, and like I don't want to stay too close-minded about it. It's just, you gotta recognize that this is an aspect.
Yeah, they also talk about sort of like the responsibility of really famous artists. It's like when Kanye came out and said that like he was like a Trump supporter and shit like that, and then like Soulja Boy said to him, Soulja Boy's like, Kanye, you're way too famous to be like supporting like the Confederate flag and shit like that. And but that's also when he started having mental illness, because like I think there's also a responsibility with fame because you do become a role model.
He got a massive ego.
Yeah.
The guy's a narcissist. Look, how can you not? Like, when you have that type of fame, like, look at the accomplishment. Like, how can you not get to a state of thinking you're literally a god? Because things turning out in your reality, you're thinking that, so they're happening, right? And then you build this massive ego, but you can't, these things can't last forever, right? You can't shit on people forever. Eventually, they're gonna wanna progress and seek goodness, so you're gonna fall down. So, like, the thing about Kanye, yeah, mental illness, no, I think he's just a narcissist.
Yeah.
I think he's just a straight up, I don't think he's mentally ill.
No, he actually is mentally ill. He's on medication.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you
Yeah.
know, then sure, that sucks. And I mean, who am I to talk about it? It just, it's giving narcissist traits.
He's definitely a narcissist.
But like, how can you not? Look what he's accomplished. The guy is basically fucking God in music.
Yeah, I think he started saying like I think that when Jesus came out, that's when the mental illness sort of started. That's when his sort of downfall and everything. He started getting into gospel music and shit. But before that, he was more humble. But then the mental illness started kicking in pretty heavily in his 40s. He started getting, that's why he got divorced. It's went fucking crazy.
Well, he also said
Yeah.
he became, what was it, post-economic.
Post-economic.
Another term for it, being a fucking billionaire. That's
It's like he talks about these problems. All these problems he talks about are problems that billionaires have. He's like, oh, I didn't get my company or this, whatever. And for sure, like you don't want to encourage mistreatment even with large execs. But at the same time, it's like, bro, you're disconnected.
Is Kanye?
And in my opinion, it's because I don't think, sure he has mental illness, whatever. We all have mental illness. I have fucking mental illness at some aspect. You all do. But I think it's not as much mental illness as that he has fucking narcissist personality disorder.
Yeah.
And what happened was his supply, who was his supply? Kim Kardashian.
His mom.
No.
His fans as well in the
His
industry.
mom probably too, but she died. So Kim
That's what
Kardashian
everything
was his supply. She fed him. He was probably. This is how he acted in person. Imagine how he acted behind closed doors. Good God. Oh my God. So Kim Kardashian was his supply. She finally had enough of the abuse, because he was no doubt abusive, if not verbally. Look at the guy. She finally escaped the relationship. Not to say that she's a saint herself. So he lost the supply. And to get her to supply back, he had to resort to the nastiest thing possible because his previous tactics no longer worked. So he had to resort to gaslighting, devaluing, shaming, guilt tripping, all that beautiful shit that narcissist people do to control their supply. And that didn't work. So eventually it died off and he found a new supply. And that's why you don't see him anymore. Because he's got his new supply.
What's his new supply?
His wife.
What new wife? He doesn't have a new wife.
He's got this new...
Yeah.
No, he has a new girlfriend. He's like 23 or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
She's his new supply.
Yeah, I guess so. No, but I feel like Kim stroked his ego way bigger because Kim was his equal.
I also feel like there's probably a lot of I don't know, maybe like there's a lot of, I don't know. It would be hard.
Is that mine?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it'd be difficult to actually. I feel like a lot of people annotate a lot of negative aspects in their life, their experience to a person like Kanye.
Sure.
Because he's a person that's out there. He's an easy target to basically pin a lot of things on, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. We don't know what goes behind the scenes, all the mistreatment he's experienced.
And if I could elaborate, if you look statistically at the family of the Kardashians, they break people.
Shame.
Not just Kim, but like that family,
Yeah.
they break people.
Well,
That family's fucking crazy.
They break
you know what it is for the kids?
And
It's
I
like
think-
you're growing up in reality TV. From the age of like 8 years old, they were on camera. They're
Yeah.
like,
Everyone's human.
everyone's like, why
That's
are
you said
Kylie
it,
and
you
Kendall
said
so
it.
rich? They were doing reality TV 10 years before they were of age.
Yeah.
Like imagine spending imagine starting working when you're 8. They're essentially child stars. By the time they were 18 or 24, you're
Yeah.
already
They
a billionaire.
didn't get to experience the brain development in childhood. They
And to-
surpassed that stage.
And to be honest,
Yeah.
if I could further elaborate
They
on
didn't get to play.
yeah, and I think that marriage is a perfect.
The play, it's so important for not just kids, but for people to be playing free without, this is what builds self-esteem, it stimulates the brain, which goes into other parts of the brain where it's
That's
not so
very
much
fair.
getting an outcome, it's just the behavior of playing. The behavior, it's not so much the outcome, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it's the truth, and I think that's why.
Facts, bro. Elaborate on that.
Well, no, like if okay, actually, let's actually talk about. I'll give you context. Chicago, which is probably one of the most violent, like the south and the western parts of Chicago, or the southwest parts of Chicago, right? It's probably some of the most violent parts of the U.S., right?
Okay.
And if you think about it, they're so bad right now. Kids aren't allowed to play on the streets, and it sort of like plays into what you're trying to say. These kids aren't allowed to play. There's no play, and also just the I'm a huge advocate of mental health. There's a huge aspect of socioeconomics and mental health,
Yeah.
and honestly, for me, when you like, it makes sense why there's so much murder in Chicago. You know, because the socioeconomics are so important. This is what I was trying to say. The lifestyle these people have to live. It's like there's some families that basically it's 3 generations that have never had a job.
Right, it's passed down trauma.
Yeah, right. But there's one. I think it's okay.
It's like the trauma forms genetic makeup.
Exactly,
And that's not to
exactly.
say that they're all trauma. That's not what I'm saying. There's genius.
No,
brilliant people that come out.
no.
There's people that have lived in now in a new environment that is completely not a reflection of what they're used to. They completely changed their life
I agree with you,
because
but
of how they reacted to.
But-
So yeah, so it's.
I agree with you. But other
Point
things-
is, I'm not trying to like
yeah, I know you're not.
insult or devalue or say anyone's smarter than the other because there are genius people that come out of horrible situations.
100%.
Yeah.
But what I will say though too is that like I definitely think though like just in generalized doesn't matter what category of race or category, if you come from the lower socioeconomic class, you have experienced trauma and you would benefit from therapy.
Absolutely.
And I always try to tell a lot of people in my
So much
community,
trauma.
right, that they really
Horrible.
benefit from seeing therapists.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part
Why do
though,
you think they would benefit from seeing therapists?
oh, because like
Gotta help resolve that.
because the trauma,
Process
you have,
that
you have to resolve the trauma.
How does therapy help?
Well, there's a lot of families out there where you can't really talk about your problems.
Yeah, you just don't.
being able
It's
to
okay.
openly talk. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there who don't talk about their problems in general. So you just kind of like hold it within you.
Yeah.
And you carry that weight your whole life. And when you speak to a therapist, they're going to give you a lot of tools. If it's good,
Exactly.
there's a ton of tools to help you process that emotion, reframe negative emotions. Just how to sort of reframe your perspective on things, normalize things, and just make you feel not like a freak. Like people who are emotionally unhealthy feel like freaks.
Yeah.
They feel broken. They feel dysfunctional. So when you go to a therapist, they're going to normalize a lot of things. And if you are legit somebody's might have a mental illness. If you're legit fucked up and you go see a psych and they're like you're schizophrenic, they're going to put you on medication.
Yeah.
Because your brain like is not functioning properly. So if you do have a legit mental illness, they might legit put you on medication. That's fine too, you know.
So
like
if mental illness is so prolific, I don't know if that's the word in
Sure,
today's
yeah.
society, doesn't that mean that a lot of therapists are also suffering from
Yes,
mental
yes.
illness?
If you're a therapist, you have to see other therapists.
They see therapists all the time, yeah,
If you're a
yeah,
therapist,
yeah.
you have like every 2 weeks you have to see another
Exactly.
therapist just to unload because
And
you're
you're right. Mental people on the
They're
front
human
line-
beings.
Yeah, 100%. They deal with the
Regardless
most.
of their therapists or not, they're human beings. They
It's a
experience
lot.
emotion.
The other thing I was going to add though too is the most unfortunate part is that there's such little ethnicized therapists. That it's actually they say this. It's,
Ethnicized, okay.
I've heard people say that like basically like, if you're a black woman that becomes a therapist, it's an infinite money machine.
Wow.
Because like you just never.
Pro tip.
Yeah.
Life pro tip.
Yeah.
Become a black.
It's an
become a
infinite
black
money
psych.
machine. Yeah, no, a black
Yeah.
woman that's that's a therapist.
Wow.
It's an infinite money machine. Because you're never gonna have enough business. You're never gonna have enough time for the amount of business you're gonna get.
We should start a group that supports black therapists.
Yeah, but it's crazy how like it's unfortunate how there's not like more of like a. It's unfortunate how there's
Don't
not.
put that onto the world. Instead of it's unfortunate, say, let's make this happen, right?
No, but there's a couple of things, right? So okay, I'll tell you this. I'm the biggest advocate for mental health around all my friends, right? I always tell all my friends to go see a therapist, and they always all fucking deny it. It takes so long. Actually, it's really hard to get black people to go see a therapist.
Why
I'm
do
not
you
gonna
think
lie.
that is?
Stigma, social stigma.
Yeah. I think it's. You ever seen The Sopranos?
What's the stigma?
You ever seen The Sopranos?
It's
Have you seen The Sopranos? Exactly that. It's that. No, it's that. It's Tony.
So what do they think? What are they afraid of?
It's the same thing that Tony had, right?
They don't trust this.
Yeah, they don't trust a therapist. You'll be a snitch.
Yeah, or like you're weak. Or
yeah,
like,
you're
or
weak.
It's not real.
It's exactly The Sopranos. That's why.
Why do you think people have developed that perception?
Vulnerability, because you don't want to be vulnerable. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're not,
And why do people think that vulnerability is a bad thing?
it probably goes back to what we were trying to say about not being able to play. And that's when I think back on like my life. Honestly, when I think about my life, there was never any chance. There's no joke. Nothing was a joke. Everything was serious from the time.
For real.
There's
like
no
you,
jokes.
You can never just be yourself and just be without worry. You're always thinking like on guard. So
Yeah.
You can't just be free flowing and creative child.
You grow up like a barracuda.
That sucks.
Yeah. It's like from womb you're traumatized, right? It's
And
like
the parents hadn't experienced, and this happens across all cultures, but we're talking about rap because that's just what we were talking about. The parents may have not experienced that as well, so they may not know how to play and impart that play on their kids because they had to learn fast, they had to grow up fast, they became adults fast.
and that's
They
yeah.
had to become,
If you think about like childhood is really a social construct. Like even school is a social construct. We did not have school. We did not have like childhoods. People like
It truly is.
back in the day, you were born and then it's just like fucking hand to mouth existence. And did you know that? I saw some TikTok recently. Did you know that like for most of humanity, even when humans started farming, when we went from like being like hunters to farmers, that we were so shit at growing nutritious food for the longest time that the human population, actually human heights and everything went down for like thousands of years because we couldn't get enough nutrition in our bodies. But once we maximized on making like fucking GMO corn and everything like that, now people are on steroids. Now we're fucking huge. But like,
do you know what I heard for like I heard that like apparently the studies or like whatever. So researchers found that like Aboriginals.
You're about to drop the word anthropology, like fuck. I really gotta know about
I
anthropology before I start talking
I can't fuck this up. But basically, they were talking about how like native populations in North America were able to be. They actually went about doing abortions to control their populations because they understood that they could not overpopulate and like versus their amount of resources, right? So basically, the other part of this research said that like essentially the trauma of actually going through that process, because obviously it was very rudimentary in a time when you didn't have the technology, is what sort of spurred agriculture. It was like, okay, there's going to be years we don't have enough food, and we don't want to cull our population to survive, so we need to actually now do agriculture, so we have stores, and we can still go hunt, so we can still maintain a certain population. We don't want, because they had to base their population on the worst years, not the best years.
Okay, and you're bringing that up because?
That's agriculture basically started because of like population control, and to allow us to increase it. So it's funny in the big
I think we might have a chicken and egg problem there. I think like agriculture started because we just needed food.
Yeah, but
it was hunting and gathering. It's like if we can just take some blueberry seeds and like disperse them, maybe like we can have more in the fall, not starve it over. Because before that was hand to mouth existence, man. It was horrible.
Yeah, but that's what before that
it was terrible, bro.
Before that, they add adults and that to go kill fucking. Did you know they found that Neanderthals were more carnivorous than like gray wolves?
Well, they had to be, because what the fuck else are you gonna eat when you're in Neanderthal?
It's like we had to get.
Neanderthals do, bro.
Yeah. I'm trying to say, but we had to get to a point. Well, Neanderthals also are not because we're Homo sapiens.
We're like 3% Neanderthal.
Yeah. But basically, what they're saying is that like we had to get to past the point of just pure hunting to actually grow food to maintain population control, population growth over a long period of time. So you could have both. Because before it was just subsistence hunting, you couldn't maintain populations. If you had too many kids, you had to actually kill them.
Oh yeah, like I read the book *Sapiens*, man. And like this whole like throwing babies in the garbage thing. Like, if they couldn't feed the babies, they would legit like throw the babies in the
away,
water and shit.
Like up to 5 years old.
It was human history is so fucked.
Yeah,
man.
it's fucked.
I think last week on the podcast we were talking about how like there's a lot of Neanderthal evidence that there was a really high degree of cannibalism going on. Like if you look at like ancient, they'd find like pits full of like dead deer, and then there'd be like a bunch of human skeletons in there with like teeth marks on them.
Why don't we just eat them? They're like, why don't we just eat them? They're dead anyway.
It's not even like why don't we?
People are starving to death.
We need to eat. Exactly. That's what it is. I need to eat.
We have cannibalism like 20 years ago.
Dead deer is humans. Like, what's the difference?
Oh, we have cannibalism now.
Yeah, we have cannibalism. Yeah, we have cannibalism.
Well, eating motherfuckers still now.
Yeah, no, apparently in North Korea there's evidence of cannibalism going on now, man. 'Cause when people are starving to death, dude, it's like, well, this sounds fucking crazy, man. One of my friends, I think their mom came over on a boat, and one of the dudes, like, their baby died on the boat. This is like the Vietnamese boat into like America, and like they ate the baby. He ate his own baby because they're starving to death on the boat. No, because they're out at sea for 2 months.
I mean, it's horrible. But who did this?
Like my friend's mom's, because she came on the boat, it was one guy on the boat, there was maybe like 60 people on the boat. And
Your
like
friend's
20
mom?
That
Or
was-
Not my friend's mom. No, what she had to do is that there was no water on the boat for like 4 days. At one point, everyone was drinking their own pee to survive. It was crazy.
How many generations back was this?
This was only like 50 years ago, maybe.
That's fucked. This is like,
Migrant boat.
Yeah, they're coming from they're escaping the Vietnam War into like Canada, right? So they're taking the boat over, but the boat was like completely just underserviced and like.
Oh, of course.
I was
Well,
stuck
you
on
hear
a-
all these
Yeah.
migrant boat
Wait,
tip
wait.
over
I was
stories.
stuck
It's
on a mountain
horrible.
in Switzerland last summer. I also almost drank my own pee. So.
And you were cannibal.
That was legal.
And you're gonna eat my wife, man.
that's crazy though.
Bitch,
Because
if you die, I'm gonna eat you.
If you're in like a life or death situation, the shit you would do, man.
Yeah, it's exactly.
No,
Is that
no,
a fucking
no,
die?
no.
I'll drink that pee.
that's crazy though. No, that's crazy though.
He's
Because
hitting you and you're like in the middle of fucking nowhere.
See,
you're like,
no,
yo,
but-
what
but
am I
you-
gonna
but-
survive?
but you did-
I don't know how close I am.
It's quite warm right now. It's
But
time
you
to drink my own piss.
Thought went through my brain and I'm like,
Bear
man,
Grylls, man.
Apparently, from what I learned on Breaking Bad, best show ever made, if you put your pee in like a cup and just kind of like, if you can have like a container of it, and as you're walking through the desert, this blazing sun shining on it will clean it.
Yeah.
Like it'll, because it's so hot.
Yeah.
And then it's basically
If
fine to drink.
you drink it right after you pee, it's actually already sterile because it's so
Yeah.
hot. It's
Yeah,
so,
but
but
come on,
the problem is that it has so much
it's
sodium in it that you're further. It's like drinking seawater. You're further dehydrating yourself. So it's like you can do it maybe like once, twice to survive, but like in the long run, you're gonna get your.
yeah, I was looking at my Brita filter and my dick and I was just like, yo,
oh my god.
this is not gonna
But
end
you were
well.
mentally preparing
I was
for it, which is a
like,
good
no,
thing.
dude, I hadn't drinking water for like almost 18 something hours and I was
Shit.
like,
Yeah.
yo man, like this is not good. This is not
We
good
should.
at
We'll
all.
do the next podcast. We have to hear that story. But we
I
should
think-
probably end this podcast.
Where did he get that?
He's told that whole story on the podcast
Oh,
already.
shit.
This
Yeah.
po- yeah, this podcast
Because this is episode
goes
15.
for 3 hours.
3
yeah.
hours.
Yeah,
This is episode
yeah,
15.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. So
exactly.
We just keep running.
yeah. What were we talking about then?
Drinking your own piss and
pee and
surviving, and
No,
then it's all
before that,
cannibals,
before that.
babies.
Well, actually, what I was gonna say this one thing. The crazy thing about that story, because it happened 50 years ago,
Yeah.
I did the research on like the transatlantic triangle. That's the shit that happened in the Pacific Passage, not Pacific, Atlantic Passage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's used to what because the boats were so underserved during the slave trade.
yeah, horrible.
that shit happened,
God.
right?
Oh, during the
So
slave
it's
trade, bro,
crazy-
that was going down like crazy,
It's crazy
bro.
that happened 50 years ago.
You
That's
imagine-
fucking
but like,
insane.
it's, I don't even like the things that went like. It's horrific. But
Yeah.
you realize that like most people live in like. Do most people live in squalor?
The percentage of the world,
80% of the world.
80% of the world lives on less than like $1 a
it's
day or some
so
shit.
And you know, it's so fucked up.
It is.
Like how important we think we are. Like, and we are important.
I don't
like,
think
don't
I'm.
get me wrong.
I don't think I'm important.
Well, you are. You're important. I'm important. Everyone's
I
important.
was born into like a lucky situation. We all won like the Canadian passport lottery, I think. But yeah.
Yeah,
It-
for
I
real.
really like the way you say that.
But-
Actually,
yeah.
But it's so important to. What were we talking about? We were talking about going on.
Drinking pee.
No, before that, outside. We were talking about how you and I were outside. We're smoking a joint.
Yeah.
Disclosure.
Weed's legal. It's all good.
Yeah.
I was smoking meth.
Yeah.
And we were talking about going on you know, retreats, and it's kind of like those spiritual retreats, and working with shamans and taking the psilocybin.
The
and-
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
The lattice
And,
work, or like-
and yes, exactly what you said. And what did you say about the net? What did you say about that?
Okay, so basically, like when I took a really heroic dose of shrooms, I saw this lattice work, right? I think they call it. What do you call it? Something geometry.
Sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry, and I think like what I noticed from it, I was like, oh, everything is interconnected. You literally can't do anything without like it. It's like it's almost like pissing in a pool and assuming the person next to you is not going to feel it or be affected by it, right?
And what do you mean by that? So anyone can say that, like, you know, we're all affected to each other, but like, what does that mean to you?
We're all
Like,
connected
what
to
does that mean
we're
to
all
you?
we're all connected to each other. Everything you do, you say, everything is like important, right? So sometimes I feel like people think they can do things in silence or like do things when no one's looking, but like it doesn't. Like someone's always looking. The universe is always there. Everything you do matters, right? So I get it's almost like the whole idea of like actions, behaviors, thoughts.
How
that's
would you
all pertinent
explain that to
each other.
someone who doesn't believe that that's the case? And that's not me, because I agree with you, but how would you explain that to someone who is more of they need to see it to believe it?
You
type
know
of
when you're
person?
on shitty piece of people, you just feel like shit. That's
Yeah.
the best way I can explain it to someone. When
And
you're
why
on
do you think that happens?
even if you're a great person and you're just around shitty people, they
Yeah.
will just make you feel terrible
And why
because
is that?
they're pissing in the pool.
Well, if you're around like a group of people and everyone's just talking about negative shit and everyone's like fucking feeling like shit about themselves, you're gonna absorb some of that energy. And if you do it for a really long period of time, like you're stuck in jail with these motherfuckers, you're gonna start feeling like shit too. It's gonna wear down your
patterns of staying in these situations.
It's gonna wear down your energy levels.
And I have a big thing about that.
So why do you think? Why do you think people continue? That's such an everyone know like why. So why do people not trust their own energy? Why do you think people go towards other things that emit different energy than their own?
Guidance.
And not stick with the energy that they feel is right.
I think some people follow their own. I think Evie was talking about this. It's the signal to noise ratio. So there's noise, which is everyone else's signal to noise ratio. Okay. So there's like everyone else's noise. It's like you should do this, you should do that. You should fucking come to church or like get a new job doing this. And then there's like your own signal, which is your own personal voice. But to listen to your own personal voice, you need to have a pretty high degree of self-awareness. A lot of kids, younger people, do not have self-awareness because you haven't done anything. You're like in school. You're a high school student. I didn't have self-awareness until I was actually challenged. How do we find more of our own? How do we find more of what we want to do? Our own voice. We challenge ourselves. We try things we don't necessarily like. We get defeated. I really do believe like you shouldn't like continuously get defeated in life because it's not good for you. But like there's a lot of value
what do you mean
in.
You shouldn't get to feed what?
Defeated.
You shouldn't do like 3 careers in a row that like whoop your ass because like you will learn a lot from that. But you do in life, in human life, you need to win at least 30% of the time. You're gonna get completely discouraged. You can
30%. Yeah. That sounds awful.
That's low.
It's not. You want to win 100% of the time if you can. But if
maybe
you
not
if
100,
you win,
but at least like come on, like 50,
60. Yeah.
Or especially as you get older.
Basically,
Especially as you get older.
You want to be in majority wins. You don't want to be in majority losses. And honestly, I think it goes back to what you were trying to say before, though. Remember, you're like you just want to do things throughout your day that essentially make you happy.
Yeah, you want to organize your day, doing things that make you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Because essentially, those are wins. Those are little wins. So that when a bad thing happens, it's like I've had 7 wins today and I had 1 loss. No matter how bad that loss was, like I had 7 wins today. You know what I'm saying? But you got to do things in this scenario. You have to do things in a manner that are facilitating to your life. And if that means like doing things that make you happy,
they're getting you that are goal supporting.
Exactly.
And that's based on the choices that you make, and the choices that you make are motivated by your values, and your values are based on your beliefs, and your beliefs are based on the thoughts and feelings you have about yourself, and the thoughts and feelings you have about yourself are how you support yourself.
Yeah.
And how you support yourself is by doing things that make you feel really good and confident.
Yeah.
So if things that make you feel really good and confident are good for you, why don't you just stay in that state? Like why don't you just go to straight end state, which is confidence? Just always feeling completely trusting yourself, completely confident in yourself. And I'm not talking about the confident where you're criticizing or you're patronizing or you're feeling better and flashy and shitting on people. That's not the confidence I'm talking about. I'm talking about the confidence where it's a deep inner knowing that I trust myself, I always show up properly, I trust myself, I trust other people, I am funny, people love me, I am commitment, I am love, I am happiness, I am stability, I am calm, I am success. People want to pay a lot of money for the things that I do. People like to be my friend. People trust me. I trust other people. I have empathy. I am empathetic. So if you're basically living in that end state identity, you're going to be getting the fruits of your labor. So that's why, again, it always comes back to monitoring the talk tracks and the narratives that we tell ourselves about ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Inner self-talk. You gotta control your inner monologue, control your inner self-talk. I think there's a book called Controlling Your Inner Critic, controlling the voice of your inner critic. And like really judgmental people typically have really judgmental inner critical voices because they're just externalizing that when they speak.
Yeah.
You know, so
I feel that so much, man. I've realized
that's
now
your shadow, bro.
Every negative interaction I have, I've realized this has nothing to do with me.
And it's like you're feeding into it. So it's like you feel shame and guilt about, the way you showed up. and so you feel really shitty about yourself, and then in turn how to bring yourself up again. Oftentimes you bring other people down
Exactly.
so that you bring them down to your level, so now you're at an even keel and you don't feel less worthy of them, right? Because you couldn't authentically bring
Grabbing the
yourself
bucket.
up, you had to bring someone else down, so now you feel shit about yourself, right? And then it's like that wheel where you just keep doing these things that are actually mostly destructive to yourself.
I agree with you, and I'll even say this because I thought about this today.
And also to other people around you, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I think this is haters hate in themselves, right? What they don't see in you.
But more importantly,
Yeah.
why is your attention going to the hater? If your attention is going to
I
the
agree.
hater, that means you're not confident and knowing in yourself.
I
You're
think
worried about the external validation and the external comments and petty comments and criticism when you should be just going inward and monitoring your feeling state and the stories that you tell about yourself. Because that only affects you if you allow it to. And again, you don't just get born knowing how to handle this. You got to study it. We should be taught processes in kindergarten, how to monitor our feeling state, right? But we're not, because we live in a capitalist society and they need to control us, right? We need to feel unfulfilled, so that we have to search after materialistic things that never fulfill us. So it's a cycle, right? It's a wheel. We're feeding the machine. Anyways,
Can I ask you something? What do you think about David Goggins?
Have you read David Goggins' book?
well, I see him all over Instagram. He
Yeah.
seems like a beast. Apparently his knees are all fucked up, but
His feet are, he's fucking, he's
His
like...
knees actually fused
he,
together.
I read both
it
of
makes
his
him
books.
happy, man. It makes him happy.
I'm not sure if it makes sense. He's a very traumatized person.
Yeah?
I
I don't know
his,
enough about him.
his second
What do you
book.
think about him?
His second book is he actually gets his mom on the book because like his mom was like heavily abused by the dad, and like his
Really?
mom has a whole chapter in the book that's talking about like they just go further into the abuse, and the second book is almost like a family therapy session that's like 12 hours long just to listen to it.
great.
He's so fucked up. Like he ultra marathon until his legs were completely shot out, and then he had this really crazy experimental surgery to get it fixed. And then as soon as it was ready, he went out, kept on. I'm like, dude, like you've like destroyed your body through being an ultra marathon athlete. And I know for you, it's like yo,
How old is he?
42.
He's young. He's young as fuck.
To be running ultra marathons at 42 is pretty
It's pretty
it's pretty tough.
intense, yeah.
Once you get to
Yeah,
because it's 100 km, it's like
42 is
the-
like prime male age.
No,
Come
but
on.
for fitness. No,
No,
in the military, they don't want you over 30.
For speed,
No?
but yeah.
No,
Really?
Navy
Over
SEAls,
30?
Navy
the-
SEALs for the
yeah.
at least for the training because you're gonna fail.
No way.
No, because
You could
You're
be in
gonna
the
put an older man's strength against some fucking kid. The
No,
older
but
dude's
it's
gonna nail
tendon.
him.
It's tendons though.
Your testosterone past 35 drops as a guy.
Yeah,
They want you
yeah.
as young as if you're gonna do buffs. They want you as young as possible.
I'm gonna need some proof on that.
No,
No,
we're
just-
over
just- just-
30?
testosterone production is highest at like
Just-
I'm
just-
not saying that.
testosterone.
I'm just saying about that they don't let people in Navy SEALs over 30.
No. They let you win, but your failure rate's gonna be really high. And the reason why is because when you do Navy SEALs, they want you around 18 to 24. And the reason why is because it's so hard on your body. They want you to survive. After 30, you can still join if you want. Like there's no age limit to join Navy SEALs. But just statistically, because you're older and you're not as agile, your muscles, your recovery time. No, it's in the book. It's in the book. Yeah, it's in the book. Yeah.
Like I'm not denying it,
Yeah.
but it's hard to believe.
Well, no. Once you're done the training, you're deployed. You can fight in the military. You can fight to retirement if you want to.
Right.
But in terms of the training, because the training is so fucking brutal.
Okay, the training.
Yeah, another thing too about
Well,
the
then
training.
most people start in their career at that age, right? You're in a
They-
career of the
he started late.
armed forces.
He started late. They definitely. If you're gonna do buds,
He started late?
He started like 28, and when he joined, they're like, you're a little bit too.
Yeah, he's 20 is the last year you're able to apply.
Yeah.
The minimum year is 17 years old.
Yeah.
28
Yeah.
is the max.
Yeah,
You
no,
get a
but-
waiver.
That's why they get kids to do it. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
they
they want-
fit, but also they're fucking they don't know
since you can get a
shit.
waiver
Yeah, that's the whole
from
point.
29
17
to
to
That's
28.
what they call being a jarhead.
17 to 28 apparently is
They
the
don't know
gap.
shit. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm invincible, and they just
17,
get killed.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they did say if you're over 33,
Yeah.
you can request a specific waiver,
Yeah.
but it's really rare.
And another reason why is because your injury rate is
I
so
see,
high.
appreciate
Your recovery,
that.
your recovery
That's why.
times.
That's why.
You're being
No, like say,
Joe Rogan.
after 35
You're being
makes
Jamie
you
on Joe
useless.
Rogan.
Yo, I think like
But isn't it crazy how you got these massive armies put together for like the desires of the smallest percentage of people?
It's not the desires. We all need protection on the world scene. We need to protect our shipping lanes.
that's
We need-
But
we
they're
need
fighting wars.
Dude, they need
That's
they need to use violence to enforce the U.S. dollar so we can have a global hegemony. That way we can supply the food chain, the supply chains around the world. That way we can have cheap prices on things.
that is bullshit.
Get into it.
That is
Get
such
into it.
bullshit.
Why is that bullshit? Get into
Okay,
it.
because there is this. Okay, there are multiple aspects to how you can look at international relations and how politics are done. We've lived through multiple iterations. We've been in a bipolar environment. We've been in a unipolar environment. We've been in a multipolar environment, right?
Okay. Address the point though. Like, what alternative do we have other than having like the U.S. Navy mans the shipping lanes? That specific point. That specific point.
Since 2007, 2009, there's been a push towards centralization of power. Okay.
There already is centralization of power. The U.S. government, the U.S. government has monopoly on balance on the planet Earth.
Sure, but I'm
saying we already had that since World War II.
Since the 2007 crisis, right? Because of like because we had to move from from reality of economics to a disreality in which we're
define. No, man.
Yes.
Be way more specific. Okay. Post World War II, U.S. government has the biggest navy in the world. The U.S. dollar becomes the world's global currency. We supply all the shipping lanes to stop people from fucking. Do you know how much piracy there was before the U.S. fucking government came out? Do you know why the British Empire was so fucked up with pirates? It's because they couldn't control the shipping lanes because they didn't have enough violence to fucking control. The U.S. Navy literally protects. The reason why we can have cheap products from China is because the U.S. Navy is strong enough to protect all the shipping lanes to make the prices cheap. When the British Navy was shipping spices back and forth, the reason spice prices were so fucking crazy high is because they had to factor in piracy. Because people would jack the entire boat. If you're a whole boat full of pepper, when they were shipping spices, dude, it was like 10. It was like some spices they were shipping. It was like 10, 15 x.
That's how they move shit around. So it's just why not be a pirate? Why not? It's so fucking easy.
I'm a free market.
We have the most number of pirates we've ever had on the seas.
Sorry,
today we actually have the most number of pirates.
But you think with the technology and the progress,
that's what you need the Navy.
I am a free market capitalist. If there were lanes of commerce that are happening,
pirates don't care, bro.
Pirates are free market capitalists too, bro.
But how do pirates get away with it with all the
exactly?
Navy?
She asked a good question.
No, they don't. They get. Have you seen Captain fucking Phillips, man? SEAL Team 6 shot those kids in the fucking head.
No.
The U.S. Navy holds it down.
You said that there's more piracy than ever, so that's because they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
Are you defining like percentage of piracy or per capita piracy? Because there was definitely more percentage piracy during the British Empire, bro.
But also,
like, dude, Chinese people had fucking pirates during the British Empire. Like, the most successful female pirate of all time was a Chinese fucking pirate. Something like, she had like 300 fucking boats.
Yeah.
China doesn't know fucking 300 female-run pirate boat thing in modern day. That does not exist anymore, bro.
Moved all supply, so it's just like, you know how we move currency through digital? They had to physically move shit. Isn't that crazy? Everything had to be physical. Like, there was no computer or...
It was kind of lit, no, because then you could go treasure hunting. Because then you could find that fucking boat at the bottom of the ocean covered in... You could find Cortez's motherfucking gold and become a billionaire overnight.
You always live in a generation and say, I wish I lived in the generation.
I do not wish I was
Every generation probably said that.
As a black guy, I'm very happy to live in this
before
area. You're not trying to say,
technology, before internet technology and after, it's like, you're just, like... then that gets into the discussion about God and religion. If you don't have answers to things, you're depending on some type of higher power to guide you. That's why it was so, religion was so, prominent to shape the world because we didn't have
It's still very
the
prominent
answers.
now. It's still very prominent now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, although we have more atheists now, but apparently like Islam actually is we're having an exponential increase right now. They're saying it's gonna become the predominant religion of the world in like 10 years. Right now, it's exponential right now.
It is right now.
It's like if the fact that we're here means that at some point in our lineage, somebody in our family was born in the right place at the right time. Because at some point, also somebody died, right? Like a sibling or whatever.
Crazy,
so it's like a lineage, the tree all the way down, right? It's like
Canada. I came from fucking the heart of Africa.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like here in Canada, it's like you're blessed.
It means at some point your mom made the right decision, or your grandma's mom made the right decision, or somebody made the right decision. Just like sway it just a little bit so that you weren't literally on the guillotine, which is wild.
Yeah.
It's passport lottery.
Well, there's other countries too, but for sure, like it's like. God, when I think about, the privilege that we have, like I don't even like the word privilege because it's just our way of life, man. It's our way of life. It's real. It's absolutely real, but it's our way of life. But take me, you, like us as a self out of the equation. It's like the privilege of living in Canada versus how 80% of the world lives. Like we're so fucking out of touch.
I know this. I can be
especially with like this, you know, media, society, and popularity and materialism, it's just such a small percentage of what life really is.
See, but
it's a small percentage, but it's our full-time reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Because like this is still these are the bodies we're living in every day. This is the
Right.
passport we're living under every day. This is our reality. Like before trauma heavy, this was all I knew.
Can we? You're so right, man. You're so right. But can we bring, you know, creativity into our everyday life?
Why do we need creativity?
While still following the rules.
I'm a full-time artist. Why do you think? Do you think everyone needs to be creative? I'm a full-time. I professionally work in creative. Do you think everyone needs to be creative? I actually don't.
I think everyone ends up creative.
You need some creative
at the tail
aspect.
end of their life.
I think that everyone, in a sense, is getting creatively suppressed.
Well, you know, if they have,
Let's switch to the problem. Forget about what they need to do.
Yeah.
The problem is, I do believe that people are suppressed creatively.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. Why does everyone need to? Okay, by creativity, do you mean like what type of creativity? Like being an artist, singing,
Just
dancing?
being authentic.
Okay,
being
so
human.
let's rephrase that. So like, it's not a creativity
Yeah,
problem.
not
it's
so much like an
authenticity
artist, like a
problem.
painer, dancer.
Yeah, because not everyone needs to do that shit. Honestly, some people there's so many people who are
You
bad
could
at
be
that
a
shit.
financial advisor and be creative.
Well,
You
there's
could be a
also a reason
scientist
why.
and be
There-
creative.
there-
Everything
yeah.
is creativity. Every single
there
thing.
are certain
the
jobs-
buildings on the street,
the-
the shoes on your feet.
Yeah, but so few people.
decisions
There's
you
so
make,
few
it's
people who are
all
clothing
creativity.
designers. You know what? There are certain jobs. There's certain jobs you don't want to be. Accountants should not be creative. Your job is not to be creative. Your job is to be accurate and truthful. You don't want a
So
creative
you're
accountant,
saying
man.
that
that's fucking corrupt as fuck. There are certain jobs that do not. There are certain jobs that require
But that's a
creativity, and certain jobs
limiting
that
belief.
don't.
That's
Yeah.
a limiting belief. That's a limiting belief saying that you can't be accurate, logical, facts, numbers, figures, thorough.
Maybe for your job.
Without
For your,
being
yeah.
creative.
Say doing hobbies, painting, or like creativity after they retire. It's 'cause
Yeah.
now they're
No, I'm not
free from
denying
the
that.
shackles of capitalism, and they can, you know.
No, you gotta
maybe
be
they spend-
accurate,
Maybe
absolutely.
they spend half their life working for, you know, the capitalist system, and now all of a sudden they're like 60 and they find such fulfillment.
No,
from
like,
painting.
I'm not denying hobbies. I'm not denying hobbies, but like there are certain professions where it's like you're not being paid to be creative. You're being paid like accountants are not being paid to be creative. They're being paid to be accurate.
Sure, but also means at some point that person
you
gave up.
can also paint if you want. I'm not saying you can't. Everyone can fucking paint if you want on the weekend and be bohemian.
Evie,
Sure.
what were you gonna say? That
Yeah.
person gave
No,
up
but it also means that person gave up the first part of their life.
an aspect.
Well, that's a presumption because I have some friends who love being accountants. I have some friends like they love numbers, and to them that's what they're because not everyone wants to. I'm a person. You're a fucking creative too, dude. Like not everyone wants to go to art school,
I'm not
dude.
saying not everyone wants to.
I didn't become a creative till I graduated. I did a fucking bachelor's in humanities. I
But
didn't go to fucking art
creativity
school,
is
man.
not just
Yeah.
like doing arts. It's a creative. It's finding answers. It's creating from within. It's not just
Like yes,
doing
sure.
art,
Like
it's
there's creativity in
creating.
engineering. There's creativity in like
It's
there's creativity
creating
in
a
politics.
path rather than finding one. It's creating one. It's going within, being true expression to create something that is not already there. It could be there, but you're finding ways to tap into it, and that can be for any career.
Yeah, like you can like
for sure, there's different-
There's innovative solutions. There's innovative thinking in every industry, right? Like being
There's
an engineer,
different personality
being
styles.
a
You know, when you
scientist.
go by the DISC, it's a very common communication style assessment, DISC. 4 quadrants,
Yeah.
right? You have the D, right? It spells DISC, D dominant, kind of
Oh,
a
no
really
way.
fast decision maker, kind of the boss, the leader. They don't like to be bogged down with too much detail. They need to make fast. They're very good at making decisions. And then you have someone who's like an I. They're called an influencer. And they're really good at connecting with people. They're really good at talking, bringing groups of people together. They're engaging, right? They're fun, they're communicative. Then you have something called an S, a steady relator. These people are more, they don't want to rock the boat. They're really good at making sure everyone else is comfortable. This is kind of like the secretary part, but you can also be a leader of a company and be an S. They don't want to create rifts. They're making sure everyone is comfortable. They also themselves want to be treated with comfort. And then you have something called a C. This is the calculative, the accountants, the engineers, the financial advisors, their facts, numbers, figures, right? So those types of people, like you said, they feel best in this state. So someone who's an I, who's like really kind of like a personality, like they like to talk, they're not so much a numbers, figures person, they're not going to feel comfortable in the state of a C, a calculative facts, numbers, figures, accountant type. But the facts, numbers, figures, and accountant type, that's where they feel best. That's where they find most creativity, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So to go to your point, absolutely. Like, not you're living in your being, but at the same time, we can find creativity within ourselves, even if we're in an environment that doesn't ask for that.
Yeah, like there's
And
creative
if you
thinking
don't do that,
in every industry,
it's
right?
not healthy for you. Like, God wants you to be creative and free expression.
Yes.
He wants you to communicate and be articulate of how you feel.
What makes you think of that?
What makes me think of what?
That statement that God wants you to be creative.
Again, like we said, I don't associate God with religion. I associate God. This is a newfound thing, by the way.
New Age spirituality.
Yes,
Yeah, there we
but
go.
I don't even like to call it spirituality. Like, I don't
Eckhart Tolle.
like that word. It's so vague. Like, what the
Osho.
fuck is spirituality?
You like Osho? You like Osho? You read Osho? I read 5 Osho books. I read 5 fucking Osho books.
Yeah?
You read Osho? He's a cult leader.
What's that?
Osho?
Tell me about it.
So there's Eckhart Tolle and there's Osho, right? So Eckhart Tolle is like, he's alive. Osho OD'd himself on fucking nitrous oxide and had a cult where they were fucking, had AR-15s. He had like, 10,000 people
Great
living
Netflix
there.
series. I love that series.
Yeah,
It's
they
in
were,
Osho?
yeah, Osho,
Osho.
yeah. They were kidnapping people.
Can you hold this thought? I really have to use the bathroom
Yeah, go ahead,
really
go ahead.
quickly.
Go
But
ahead, yeah.
this sounds
Is it yogi?
super interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, no,
yeah.
he's actually not a yogi because they didn't do yoga. What he is, he's a fucking, he's a PhD in
Well,
religion.
it's interesting
thought
that
leader.
he's bigger in death than he was in life.
He was pretty big when he was alive, bro.
But now actually is like.
I think it's the same level. I think he was actually more famous when he was alive because he would actually teach, and then they had towns of 10,000 people that he conquered.
People still
This
go to.
is in Portland. Is the one?
There's 3 of them. The one that you said I think was near Portland, yeah.
He moved to the community. There's a Netflix special, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I've actually read like 5 of his books. He has like 200
It's actually
books.
because I feel like all legends at the end of the day are more useful in death than alive.
I don't think you ever read.
Because the message, because you.
I don't think you ever read people like for humanity of cults. There's reasons why people are drawn to cults or gurus or leaders, right? Because
Yeah.
you're looking for something.
Yeah.
For as advanced as we are, people are always missing something. Man.
People are followers,
The
man.
fact that there's like millions of people that still follow different cults, whatever. Like, I mean, there's so many cults now. The fact that people still follow and know that maybe they don't know they're called, but get consumed by cults is like, oh,
People don't have ideas. Ideas have people.
yeah.
You know what's funny? I'm pretty sure I could start a cult.
No.
I'm certain of
No,
it.
I doubt it now.
I'm certain.
I fucking doubt it.
I am certain I could
No,
start
I
a cult.
would bet money that you
I'll definitely start a
you're not,
cult.
like, to start a cult, you need to be, okay, the reason why Osho started a cult is because this guy's a motherfucking, like, PhD in religion, and he's an incredibly gifted, you know what's going on? Andrew Tate. He's an incredibly gifted speaker, he's fucking jacked as fuck, and he's rich as fuck, so, like, and, like, he really catered to, like, and also his followers are not the highest quality followers, his followers are a bunch of young douchebag type guys. The reason why, the reason Osho's cult was next level because he had like intellectuals and shit following him. He had a lot of smart fucking people following him because he was actually quite Osho's writing is fucking incredible, bro. You know, him and Eckhart Tolle are pretty similar. They're both considered New Age spirituality. They talk a lot about death. They're just like when you go to like India, for example, it's like they have like the river Ganges and stuff like that. If you want to see a dead body that day, just go down to the fucking river. They're fucking burning bodies. You can see dead bodies all over the place. In the West, we really hide the whole fact of death. If you want to see a dead body, you want to go to the fucking morgue, they're like, get the fuck out of here, man. This is fucking, we'll call the fucking cops on. You can't see no fucking dead body. I just want to see what it's like to die.
Well, I grew up seeing
Yeah.
that. I grew up in the AIDS crisis in the 90s.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you probably seen more dead. I've never seen. The only dead bodies I've seen are at funerals. I've never seen like dead bodies in the street.
In Kenya, when I was growing up, basically so many of my family members died. I didn't think it was a problem.
That's
I
fucking
thought-
horrifying.
Yeah.
That's horrifying, bro.
Yeah, we had this really good person that worked for us, Mardia. She was from Liberia, and there was always someone dying in her family.
Yeah.
She carried her kids over dead bodies to
Yeah.
escape
That's
Liberia.
really sad.
What was it, the 80s or whatever?
There was a bombing in Nairobi. I was there. They bombed the embassy in Nairobi. Like Osama bin Laden bombed the embassy in Nairobi. We were just in town walking through. You know what I'm trying to say? And
Did you
it's
see
like,
it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's bodies burning and shit like that. It's like whatever.
Oh, damn.
But you're a kid. You're like whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? You don't really.
Fucked up.
So many people die. You just didn't really care. You know what I'm trying to say? Just like it's a thing.
But like isn't that crazy how they say in the name of God, that's in the name of God. God doesn't.
That was
want
not in the name
shit.
of God. That was not in the name of God. That was in the name of
But like these you know, and it's any religion,
No, but
Christianity,
even-
Islam. It's like they take it too seriously and they say it's in the name of God. That's not what God is. And that's what I was trying to say about how I separate religion and God. God is abundant and limitless and wants good things and wants to give you a great job. God does not want to hurt.
Exactly.
People say that it's God are are not speaking in the name of God. That's not what God wants. So that's why I think people have a bad conception about God, because there have been people throughout time that have, you know, they've conflated God and
The
the
tasks they want you to do,
political,
yeah.
the tasks they want you to do.
Look,
And we've been programmed, because that's what has been passed through, to believe that that's what God is. And I think that's why people have stopped believing in God, and there's a lack of God in today's culture and society because of what you're connecting God with. But God is actually very good. God wants goodness, period. And how can we get back to that? And you know, there are some people in Hollywood that try to bring God back, but at the end of the day, you see what they do, and it's narcissistic, and that's not what God wants. So it's like God is good. Like God wants goodness. And I'm not a religious person at all, but like,
you know what's funny? In high school, we took a class that basically said that. It was like in search of the good. That's what it was. The 12th grade class, in search of the good. And it was talking of, the class itself was very different than what I thought it would be. But like, I get that idea. It's like a search of good. That's the idea of God itself. Like, and that's what I was trying to say before. The whole lattice work thing, the what you do, right? I think in general, like, I truly believe in karma. I truly believe like bad people know when they're doing bad things. I feel like you always know when you're doing a bad thing. There's really no like rules as to what's good and bad, but I think you just always know when you're doing a shitty thing. I think.
I think some guys are so brainwashed. You do with the fucking jihad, man. They're so brainwashed. They actually think they're doing a good thing when they're fucking fighting.
No, I know some.
They think they're doing the right thing.
I know some motherfuckers that they know they're evil. They say it too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say? So they know that they're doing bad shit.
But you can.
They just don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They know they're doing bad.
Yeah.
I just feel like, and I could be wrong. Maybe you're right.
Because they hate themselves. It's like the cycle of hate. They hate themselves, so they do wrong to make up, and then they feel bad about it, and then they do it again.
If you want to get into jihad, man, it's the rebellion versus the empire. Essentially, jihad. The whole idea of jihad is
a holy war.
We're being oppressed by the American Christians. So we need to fight for our people. What?
Huh?
What would happen if I sparked a joint right now?
Well, we can smoke outside. We can pause and go smoke down. Come back in if you want.
Yeah, but like, fuck.
But this
we
is
gotta
like
get a podcast going where we can do whatever.
This is like home base though. We have to be respectful to
Let's do a podcast in a place.
Yeah, 100%. We're back at this place. We started off at this place.
We started at my place. My place.
Now you're about it. Yeah.
No. That's my place.
We gotta get this proper. Like, we gotta get proper. You're a creative genius. Can we get this cut and, you know, cut properly so it's actually watchable?
Have you seen the podcast actual episodes? The episode 1, I used to cut like 50 clips out of every single one. What I'm doing now is I cut a couple of clips and I cut key moments, and the reason why is because like the Instagram, like I can't post like 50 clips in a row. No one's gonna watch it.
But you put it on YouTube too, right?
So the whole episode's on YouTube, and then we cut clips for TikTok, we cut clips for Instagram, but I only cut like key moments because the thing about fans is that they don't want to see more than like 2 or 3 clips in that. Once they start spending like 20, 30 clips, also the topic variation and the guests also need to vary.
Yeah, they gotta wanna like you give a couple teasers for the people that actually want to watch it, right?
Yeah.
And then if the people actually want to watch it, they'll go to the YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? You're not begging for people to watch it. You're putting a
No.
couple things. Does this resonate with you? Yes. Okay. And then you go watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta keep pumping out
we
content.
We mostly started this podcast because like we started just having really interesting conversations in my living room, and then I'm like, we should fucking, and that right now we're having an interesting conversation right now, and then like
also
we try harder when we're being filmed as well.
I will say one thing. The reason why this podcast happens is because Eric's a fucking cool dude. I'll be honest with you. I've always tried to do podcasts. I've always been trying to do something like this, but this is the only guy who actually was like, there's an idea, you've been doing it, let's just hop on and get it done.
Sick.
And I'll say that's the one thing that's really cool about this guy, is that he's a very much so. And actually, what's your Myers-Briggs, by the way?
Probably ENTJ.
What is that?
It's like, it's the most common one amongst people who like run their own business and self-employed people. It's
so
like,
you know,
it's supposed to be the commander actually, because you're out trying to. It's extroverted, intuitive, thinking, judger.
You know what? Do you know what I am? The debater.
You're probably an ENTP.
No, it's what is
Extrovert.
it?
So what? Like so it'd be extrovert.
ENTP. That's the one. Yeah, ENTP.
No, I think you're probably
What
ENTP.
would I be?
You're probably an ENFP or an ENFJ.
What's that?
Extroverted, intuitive, feeling, judger, or perceiver. You might be. I don't know even what.
How do you know this so well?
Because my dad raised us on this shit from the age of like 8 years old.
Hilarious.
Because he's an IBMer, so
Well, it's like, how do I know disc so well? Like the
How-
disc.
I'm a captain.
yeah.
How do you know disco? That's the first time I've heard of disco, honestly, and I know all this.
I'm a
But
captain.
that's sick. Like if you know this, whatever, what is Myers-Briggs, then you
Myers-Briggs,
know
yeah.
it. Like if you know it, you know it.
I'm a captain D.
Sweet.
I don't know what that means. Well,
But I want to know more about this Myers-Briggs. Mostly, I want to know more about how what one I am.
You can look it up. I'm pretty
I
good
did
at
the test. I'm the one that is like the they're like they're fighting for something.
There's also a 9 types personality type as well, which is like
Yeah.
sort of like your demeanor. But the thing about that one can change. The Myers-Briggs doesn't change throughout your life. The Myers-Briggs is the way your brain operates, the way information goes into your brain and exits your brain. And then the 9 types personality is sort of like your more less on your thinking, more on your personality, and it can actually change throughout life because you can actually evolve one to the other. So I'm a type 7, but for me to develop, I need to become a type 5. Which means I need to study. Type 7 is like the party fuckhead, and then to become like skilled at something, you need to study, which is a type 5. The type 5 is the nerd. So now I become more of a type 5 for me to develop.
What's a
and, like,
type
have a
1?
job. Type 1 is the perfectionist, which is actually what Ren is. Ren's a type 1. Yeah.
Who is?
My friend Ren, he just left. He's a type 1. So that's the perfectionist. Type 2 is the helper. Type
Very
3,
interesting.
Type 3 is the achiever. Type 4 is the romantic. Type 5 is the nerd, the watcher. Type 6 is the skeptic. Type 7 is the adventurer. Type 8 is the guardian, and Type 9 is the peacemaker, which is my brother knows a type 9. And then a lot of my guy friends are type 8s. When you're talking about warriors and everything, you're probably type 8. A lot of my guy friends are type 8s. Because it's the adventure, and then like we're gonna get rough in the streets tonight. We're gonna do some crazy shit. We're gonna kick some doors. All my type guy friends, they always say, "I'm gonna kick this guy's ass for you."
I'm gonna fuck some niggas up.
Yeah, I've had so many of my guy friends say that to me. I'm like, I have a lot of type 8 guys. That's always about like scrap. It's all about just dominating motherfuckers.
Was it the
Holding down the fort and guarding the fort. It's their purpose for being. They love it. It turns them on. It's
Yeah, man, because you don't.
Because you don't have to think. You just
Yeah.
start priming.
Right, so
No, you do think. You do think. Like, take
Heading
it.
out.
See ya.
What do you think about the podcast?
She's
been-
been on multiple
Oh, you
episodes.
have? Yeah. Nice.
She's been on multiple
She's brought
episodes.
some. Yeah. No, because it's it's not even. Okay, here's the thing. When you, I get the whole. It's like when you're disrespected, it's like it's actually it's a risk to yourself. It's a risk to your health. Because if someone
Goes
starts.
back to the fight or flight concept.
Yeah, if someone starts disrespecting you, that means they're gonna keep
If you
on
don't
doing
protect
it.
yourself, you're gonna
Yeah. So
get hurt.
basically, it's like the
You're
second
gonna
time
get hurt.
when someone
If you don't
disrespects.
stop, if you don't do something, you'll get hurt.
Exactly. So it's like the second you disrespect
But you won't,
me.
because most of the thing we think that people are hurting us is not actually hurting us. It's just because we're so placid and so contented, and we have really no battles to fight at all. We create battles because that's what the brain does. It needs to solve problems.
It's the
So when
ego.
it doesn't have when it doesn't have problems to solve, it creates them. Because that's what the brain does.
Yeah, like it's the whole like dissolving your ego thing, or like doing mushrooms to dissolve your ego. So the ego always needs something to fight against.
Yeah.
The ego will always find a problem in your life. It always needs some kind of challenge, some kind of like thing to go after. The ego is a survival mechanism. It's
I've
by
gone
humans.
I've gone through so many ego deaths, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a survival mechanism, except we don't need to survive anymore. We don't have any physical threats, so that we go into our brains and create them.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any actual outside things that we need to fight for, so we create them.
And there's
And
also
that's why there's so much fucking depression, it's because we're so contented and comfortable.
Yeah.
And we're not encouraged to step out into creativity and explore the inner workings of our souls. Whatever the fuck that means, right?
Yeah.
But
How do you do that?
how do you do that? By getting really confident. By doing things that make you feel fucking confident so that you can express yourself freely and not even be concerned about the opinions, snide remarks, petty comments of others. So that you show up in end state.
Yeah.
And when you show up in end state, you're able to manifest like that. And not only bring abundance to yourself, but you can bring it to other people because you can teach them also to be like that. And then then you get relaxed, you get calm, and then things become easy, and you're able to learn and pass on and do good things and drop horrible traumas and change your genetic makeup.
That sounds mad positive. I wish more people were able to even capable of doing that.
Well, we're not taught. We're not taught how to. We're taught how to live in
Like scarcity.
material. We think material things, and obviously we need to make enough money to have, like, we need basic needs, but we get validation over things that are not really good for us. We're made to believe it is, but it's actually not good for us.
Like going to the club and spending $3,000 on bottles, not even dancing, just posting on motherfuckers like a goon and getting
Yeah.
really, really drunk where you can't even like remember
Yeah.
what you did last night. It's pretty. If you think about that, that's a pretty
Or
ignorant
trying
hobby.
to
If you think about it.
stay in relationships that are not good for you. You know,
Yeah,
not being
yeah.
authentic, not speaking up for yourself,
Yeah.
being intimidated by people, places, or things. right?
So
You should never be intimidated by anything in your reality.
It's all about fear.
Thinking that something good has to happen in your reality in order to feel good internally, when in fact it's the exact opposite. You have to feel good internally in order for things to happen in your 3D reality.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one right there. Like once you feel better about yourself, everything in life starts working out.
Right, because like you'll have people that aren't even that smart. They're not much smarter than you, not faster than you, fitter than you, better looking than you, but why are they more successful? Because they feel fucking good.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit what anyone else says, because they don't even think of it.
Or they just
They don't
have,
even-
or they
that's
just
not
have
where
like,
their attention goes.
or they just have like more access to privilege.
That as well.
Yeah.
I see it, but
As well,
I had
but
a-
we all have privilege in
I
Canada.
had a tweet
Yeah.
go viral last month that
Yeah.
said, I was like, yo, I think I'm the dumbest one out of all my friends, but I'm the happiest.
yeah.
I love that. That's great.
And people are like, I don't know how people can be like so aware that, they're so dumb and so confident. Like I'm so hyper aware, I'm so negative. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't care. Like,
Yeah, straight up.
I just
I
don't
give a
care,
fuck.
bro.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
happy, bro.
Yeah, straight up. I
think
totally
when you're
get.
too smart, when you're too like, let's say like
You're too analytical.
academically smart, and you like
For sure.
you start overanalyzing everything.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Well, the information is not your own. You're not coming from your true feeling state. You're coming from logic, and which is important, but
Well,
it's
it's also
not-
the external validation.
I also think I think depression is an intelligence trait.
Well, we have stats on that. Like the more smart you are, the more likely you are to be depressed. Because
Yeah.
you'll start understanding theories like nihilism, and like once you start really seeing like you eat that forbidden fruit and you really see what the fucking fruit is, you're like, oh man, life is fucked.
That's so crazy. It's like the Bible is basically saying, just be dumb. Just like if you're dumb enough, life will be good.
I think it all comes down to the decisions that you make. Your
Yeah.
brain is not some like all-seeing power. It's working based on the decisions you make, and the decisions you make are based on the beliefs that you have, and the beliefs that you have are often based on things that happen in your environment and the way you perceive the meaning and the way you assign value to things that happen in your environment.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm like that dumb, but I also just have like, humility and like no shame. So I see a lot of friends who are much smarter than me, but they're held back because of these social structures. They're like, I could never do that, man. Don't you feel like, any shame? Like, I could never do that. And I'm like, well, I gotta eat, man. I'm willing to just put out there, just be like, yeah, like, the worst thing can happen, I get a no. The best thing is, all right, I get a new deal, new friends, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people hold themselves back. They're like, whoa, this is not my place to say anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm perceived as lower on the social ladder, so I'm gonna let Eric talk and, just let him go. But,
Yeah.
No, you
And
can
that's a
talk
belief
too.
in themselves.
Yeah, it's
No
a
one
belief in
said that
themselves,
that's
yeah.
what you are. They assign that belief to themselves. No one said that. Maybe they came from a culture where that was normalized, but at the same time, you don't have to hold that belief when you're in yourself. But if you're not aware of it, it's harder to overcome. That's why we gotta be taught. We gotta be taught how to
In therapy.
observe,
We go therapy.
analyze, and organize our thoughts in a way that gets us the results that we want. Do you guys
true.
want to go smoke a joint?
Yeah, we can pump
I'm
down.
down.
I break down still. Weed going. From education.
So Asia's interesting because they're developing really quickly, but they're also not developing in the way like the US or Canada has, where their idea of like innovation or innovation, whatever, entrepreneurship, is very different. Not like they're getting better because a lot of the diaspora are going back from the US to Asia.
Yeah, that's a callback right now.
There's more and more people going back, but
Until they realize it's a bad idea.
yeah, till they realize, okay, the working culture here kind of sucks.
I was
Everyone here-
texting one of those guys. That was a callback. I don't want to fucking live there, bro. Fuck that shit. My neighbor's also trash, but I don't want to fucking live there, bro. That's crazy. That's a crazy country to fucking
A
live
bunch
in.
of people like shit on the U.S. The
Yeah.
one thing the U.S. has done a really good job at is exporting culture
Yep.
and influencing. Even if they don't militarily
Yeah.
influence other nations,
They do.
right?
They definitely do.
They influence them by culture.
They do
right?
both.
Like you can say whatever wokeism or leftism or whatever liberalism. Korea has the exact same playbook right now. They're exporting culture to get more Koreans to go back. The U.S. has been doing culture export for fucking decades now, right? Look how many countries the U.S. has impacted.
Do you think Korea, like, okay, so my understanding of why Korea pushed media so heavily is because they made tax breaks on all the studios. That way, Japanese media and Chinese media wouldn't infiltrate Korea. So I think they did that domestically. Did they do that to get the Korean diaspora to come back? I think it's probably a side benefit.
No, it's a side benefit. The main thing is
a side benefit. But the main thing was actually get Japanese media out of their country because they hate Japanese people. They fucking do.
The main thing is taxes. So the biggest thing they did it for is taxes. Is to get, because when Korean companies obviously make more money, so I think Korean companies have a similar setup as Americans and American taxes. If you're a Korean company, whether you're headquartered in Canada or Korea or anywhere else, you bring taxes back to Korea. It's like, as long as you're a Korean company, you must contribute taxes to the Korean system.
Yeah.
No matter what headquarters you are, like you could be Samsung, as long as you're under the umbrella, you're sending money back, man.
Yeah.
So they did it mostly for taxes and to rejuvenate the economy. And a significant chunk of the economy now is like culture export, right? Like, did you watch Coachella last weekend?
Yeah.
Blackpink had like, I think, didn't they get paid like $4 million for like the weekend?
It was like 5 mil. Yeah.
Dude, apparently like their IG was like viral for the weekend.
Yeah, this is the second time they've done Coachella. I think the first one they did was really groundbreaking because they were the first Korean artist ever to get on that stage. That was history. Yes.
For BTS?
BTS came after Blackpink.
Really?
They did. Actually, they came at the same time roughly, but like Blackpink, I think had more virality in the US. They're pretty similar in terms of like time span. But BTS didn't get on stage. I don't even think BTS performed at Coachella this year.
No.
Well, BTS is also disbanded, right? Like two of the dudes are in military service. Jackson Wang left, and he's on fucking. Jackson Wang played Coachella as well, but he's Chinese. Yeah, watching that Coachella review was pretty interesting, bro. It's like everyone is like it's like a hyper capitalist. It's almost like Woodstock 3.0. It's like the food. Your 2 coffees are $50. I was like, oh man, that's what USD. I'm paying like $80 for that shit. I'm getting fucking raped out here.
They've I think they've legitimately 10x their audience since just like 2010. Like Coachella is like probably outside of Woodstock. It is probably the biggest global festival right now.
I don't think it's as big as Tomorrow. I don't think it's as big as Tomorrowland, dude.
I don't know. I mean,
I think Coachella is 100 and I don't think they did 400K over 2 weekends. I think they did
Are you sure? I think it might be globally. Like it might be one of the biggest festivals right now.
It's one of the biggest. I don't think it's the biggest. I think if you want to talk about the biggest festivals in the world, there's one in Brazil that's like 1 million people or something.
Brazil?
Yeah, there's one in Brazil that's 1 million. No, if you look at like records for like the biggest ones in the world, the biggest one in the world I think ever, and there was one in India that was like 1.2 million or something. You want to get like third world countries. Right. Yeah. So but in terms of like first world nation festivals, like Western nation festivals, like Coachella, I think it's like 300,000. It's like pretty big.
Because Coachella is like the accessible Burning Man. Like anyone's going to Coachella right now.
I'm not sure if I'd call it Burning Man because Burning Man is like a really different dude.
No, it is, but Burning Man's like
it's also an art festival. It's also a music festival.
Yes, and scarcity. It's like if you've been to Burning Man, you're known. You're like, okay, people can vouch for you. Coachella's getting up there. They're like, okay, you're spending a week at Coachella, man. Coachella is like right up there. I'm not even a fan, but I think
it's an old festival.
What they've done is
they've been doing it for 30 years, right? So I think Coachella, I think they're trying to become the new U.S. Woodstock. So it's like they've been doing it for 30 years. It's an old company, just like EDC, just like Tomorrowland. They've been running it.
And any artist who gets on Coachella can
change your
use that as leverage, right? Like you go if you're headlining, or even if you're like a second tier artist at Coachella, you can use that moving forward and be like, yo, I was at Coachella.
The leverage is insane, and they're saying that like the top artists get paid the lion's share, but the rest of it is like the rest are one of my friends they played Coachella, they got paid maybe like 20 grand to do it, but they're like maybe C-level artists, and they make you feel like a daytime stage. Yeah, that's pretty cool. After doing Tomorrowland, honestly, I'm not super motivated to go to Coachella because I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, your food situation.
Will it not be peak for you though, doing visuals for Coachella?
I would love to do visuals so that I'm getting paid, but I'll do visuals for any fucking festival. But in terms of the actual festival, the hygiene of the festival, your showers are shit, your fucking tent situation is shit, your food is it makes the Tomorrowland food look like cheap.
Dude, I was actually shocked seeing that video.
I kind of wasn't surprised.
I was actually shocked because with how high profile the festival is, watching that video, I was just like, holy shit, this is disgusting, man. I got to better food at EDC and Tomorrowland than I have at wow.
Because it's not a super capitalist festival. And people also saying Coachella's not really about the music; it's more about the influencer networking. Because everyone there has to pay the influencer to go. And also, like, even if you look at the structures they build and everything are so basic looking. Like the stages at Tomorrowland are like fucking masterpieces.
Yeah,
Even the stages at EDC are masterpieces. The actual the stages at Coachella, what are they? What have you fucking seen? Okay, the main stage, the giant LED stage, whatever. And I think they have like what 4 stages, 5 stages max. That's nothing. And then they have like the fucking walking tower they have every year, and they have a couple pieces. But dude, motherfucking Tomorrowland had the motherfucking the stage under the bridge. They had the fucking face stage in the woods and the hidden stage.
Just to give you some context, Odie.
Yeah.
The entire festival of Tomorrowland, like they literally lay down planks.
It's on the theme park.
They lay down planks like this so that the original like environment is preserved, and they start doing this and they start preparing this like festival for like 8 weeks out. So you're in the festival and you're like walking on wood all throughout, so that when it's taken out and it's done, it feels like nothing was ever there. It's actually wow.
They protect the hell of the environment.
They really protect it, and they actually build it around like the ground, right? If there's water here, they'll have like a stage on the water to figure it out. And you're there, you're like, dude,
it's the size of Disneyland, honestly.
They literally make it like adult Disneyland. Like every stage is unique and built, and you're like,
yeah. That's why they're doing that one. Honestly, you kind of ruin every single festival for me. I'm just like, I think this is the best. This is the best blues festival planet Earth has to offer. I don't think in terms of stage design.
You want some?
Yeah, it's like 17 stages, and the stages are all they're all fucking masterpieces. Even the camper stage on the first night is like the size of I'm right.
Dude, they only had 5 stages at Ultra this year, which is the lowest amount of stages they've ever had.
I saw footage of Ultra from someone's condo in Miami, and they're actually looking at how big Ultra, and it really does. It looks like the size of maybe Digital Dreams.
Yeah, it's roughly, yeah.
So like even like Ultra, I feel like I should do Ultra eventually, but at the same time too, though, it's kind of just like I feel like after Tomorrowland, it's like once you've seen that, everything just seems small compared to it, right? And you see the same artists and everything too. Like Garrus will play, Chesto will play, all the fucking the festival gods.
I think probably your next festival, the ones that really like cap it off for you, is like the destination festivals, like the BPMs or like the Caribbean festivals or like Creamsfields in like northern Scotland. Like
I guess
I think like
maybe. I feel like now that I've done these festivals, you know what I want to do now? I want to do like some nature shit now because I haven't done any nature shit. I want to do some extreme cave diving.
Oh yeah.
What?
Please
don't. No.
I know these TikTok videos about these dudes getting fucking their heads trapped in the wall, getting suffocated to death. No. I want to like fly to like Southeast Asia and go to like one of those like gangster ass caves that like it's like a whole day excursion.
Why?
Because it's extremely dangerous and adventurous.
Alright.
It is actually worth it. We got our patty the last time we were in Philippines, and you know what? We spent so much time on land. When you see the ocean, man, like I'm not scared of the ocean, but when I see it, I'm like, it's eerily beautiful, because you're like swimming with like some weird ass fucking creatures, but also there's like not a lot of light, and you're just like there. It's actually very cool. It sounds freaky as shit, but it's actually very cool to just feel vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're like, just I don't know. I mean, we were like in like what was it, off the coast of Costa Rica, just like scuba diving around like a shipwreck, and I'm trying to keep in mind that like, somebody on this wreck like fucking like died. This ship was wrecked. Just like it's like there's a little piece of history here just sitting in the bottom of the ocean that somebody just fucking like, we're going down, man.
It's amazing.
Fucking going down. And I'm like, bro, I'm watching. I'm literally swimming around. Somebody's like probably took them a year to make this ship in like the 1600s, and they're sitting in the ocean. It's actually wild. So if you ever get a chance, 100% get your patty, bro.
Another thing I want to do is whatchamacallit, some poverty tourism, bro. I want to go to like Dharavi in like Mumbai. That's like the Mumbai slums. I want to see this shit. Like I want to witness, like, not because I'm trying to like make fun of poor people, but I want to see like the state of humanity. Like I want to go there, and like I want to see, like, when people are talking about this place is like, this is like the third world. These people are really, I want to fucking see this shit. I want to like, because I want to come back like with a perspective.
Okay, go to the Congo then.
Yeah, I probably can't even get in there, to be honest. There's a war going on there right now. Like, that's actually dangerous.
I could probably get you in there.
Let's get a visa, go to the Congo. I think travel advisory from Canadian government is level 4, which is do not go. It's all the same level as going to Iran right now.
Yeah.
Level 4, do not go. You might get kidnapped. You might get your passport stolen. You might get murdered. You might get held hostage. So I want to do. I think one of the next places. I want to go to India. I heard the most spiritual place I'll ever go to life is India. So I want to go to India. It's pretty cool. Like Thailand felt pretty spiritual because the whole country's Buddhist, and I think that vibration sort of with everyone. And when I got that vibe, all the Vedic architecture, I'm just like, I feel like going to India is probably gonna be even more next level because that's the origin of Buddhism, right? So I want to do that. These are sort of the trips. If I have like 2 weeks off, like what am I gonna do? Like I could do another festival. I could do like a Coachella. I could whatever, and I could do, or I could go see some real shit, But I'm happy I did the festivals though because like. I don't know why people go out to EDC every fucking year, dude. I don't get that.
Pizza's here.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, Cameron's
Come
on.
gather around, get pizza.
You do it for the culture, man.
I did it for research, I did it for my job, I did it for the culture, but like once I sort of saw what was up, I was like, okay, like, you know, next year's probably not gonna be too dissimilar from this. Go get the pizza, guys. Our camera on.
Nah, you do it for the culture. You do it for, you know,